Pixar has been in the news recently for some good things. Like, for example, the newest movie, Inside Out 2, came out recently, and I thought it was pretty great. I had a good time with it, and it seems like a lot of other people are enjoying it, and it looks like it's doing really well. In the box office and everything. However, Pixar has also been in the news for like the past few months or a few weeks or so because of other things. Like, first, they laid off a bunch of people, which is not great. They're not, that is not great to hear. And also because of Pete Docter saying this.
Okay, it's like midnight when I'm editing this, so I'll just pause and read this part. I'm way too tired to do it myself. Sorry.
Yeah, so that was incredibly disheartening to hear, especially from someone like Pete Docter, director of Monsters Inc., Up, Inside Out, and Soul, and has worked on a bunch of other Pixar movies. Because hearing that he wants to do that was not great. That he wants like Pixar to do that, to focus more on movies that have like a sort of mass appeal and like remove a lot of the personal stuff that the artists add to them. And yeah, I don't like that, honestly. And another thing that I don't like is the sort of defensive-ness towards Lightyear that is in this quote, that is in this in this statement that he said. Like, in it, Pete Docter says that Lightyear did not do well financially, and a lot of their other movies that they had released, like Turning Red and Luca and Elemental, also did not do well in the beginning. However, it doesn't really sound like he factored the fact that Turning Red, Luca, and Soul were only in theaters for one day because they came out on Disney Plus first. And also Elemental, he does acknowledge this, that it did do, better as it went on, and it was able to become successful. But in it, he still kind of goes like, I think we still need to make more sequels, right? I think we need to focus on the stuff that we have made and just make continuations of that. And Lightyear, which is connected to the Toy Story franchise, did not do well. It bombed at the box office, and Elemental, which didn't do well financially at first, was better. And in it, he still kind of goes like, I think we just need less movies like that though. And it's like, but that was the bigger success, dude. What are you talking about? I really hope that everything that he said was more so like Disney telling him to say this and not how he actually feels. And that the success of Inside Out 2, which I think is a good movie that has a lot of elements that feel like they're connected to personal stuff that I think the audience can relate to, that I kind of hope that the lesson that they get from Inside Out 2 being successful is that, adding, that personal stuff into the movies is what makes them great, and not just keep making more sequels. I don't know. I am quite worried for the future of Pixar, but I'm also kind of hopeful that I do think things will turn around again, and that we'll continue getting good movies, because I think recently we have been getting good movies like Soul, Luca, Turning Red, Elemental, Onward, which I don't love every single one of those, I have found stuff to like about them, and a lot of that stuff is the stuff that is deeply personal, like stuff that you could feel like the artists behind it, especially the directors, that they were kind of putting their heart into it. And Lightyear is, did you notice that Lightyear is not in that list? I watched Lightyear, not in theaters, but a few months later when it came out on Disney Plus in the year it came out in 2022, and I remember thinking, okay, that was okay, I guess. I was watching with my sisters and we were having fun, just making stupid jokes while watching it, but ultimately I just thought, oh yeah, I guess it was okay. But the more I thought about it afterwards, the more I went like, man, that movie was actually kind of not great. It was actually kind of mediocre, and I was thinking about it more, and then of course more the backlash towards the movie came out, and then I knew after a little while I was just like, I think I might want to do a video on this, but I kept pushing it off to the side. And then this year I rewatched all of the Pixar movies in mid-May to early June, and I was rewatching all the Pixar movies for the upcoming release of Inside Out 2, because next month in July I'm gonna do a Pixar ranking video. And then when I got to Lightyear, I rewatched it, and I've figured out what are my specific thoughts on the movie, what I want to say. I was just like, okay, you know what? I think I'm gonna go ahead and do a Lightyear video after I do the Pixar ranking video. I want to get that out of the way first. But then the statement by Pete Docter came out, and then there was a whole talks around that. So I was just like, you know what? I'm in the mood now. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do the Lightyear video now. And then I kept pushing it off to the side, but here I am. I'm doing it now, and I just want to talk about Lightyear because I think, yeah, it's a kind of mediocre, but Actually, no, that's the main thing. I think it's mediocre. There's some good stuff, but like, I don't know. I just got some things I gotta get off my chest about it. So anyway, yeah, here are my thoughts on Lightyear 2022. So the concept of Lightyear is that it is supposed to be the movie that Andy from the Toy Story films, the movie that he saw that got him to want a Buzz Lightyear action figure, a Buzz Lightyear toy. And you know, I thought when I heard that concept, I was just like, okay, that could be kind of interesting. You know, I thought like, yeah, it could be like a fun sort of sci-fi movie. You know, right? Kind of reminiscent of the 90s or older sci-fi movies from that era. And I feel like, honestly, I kind of prefer this substitute instead of like getting another Toy Story movie, because as much as I did like Toy Story 4, I've grown to love it over the years, and honestly, I genuinely consider it like one of the best movies in that franchise and one of my favorites from Pixar. I didn't want another Toy Story movie, and so I kind of went in my mind like, okay, you know, as I want Pixar to go back in the 2020s, I want them to go back to making mostly original films, but if they have to make another continuation to Toy Story, I think this is honestly a good substitute, you know, just having a spin-off Lightyear film, but like have it be like a sort of in-universe movie. All right, that sounds neat. And then the first trailer came out, and honestly, I remember liking it, but that could be because it had the song "Starman" by David Bowie, and I really like that song. My favorite David Bowie song, in fact, actually. And I thought, okay, you know what, that looks like it could be good. Then the movie came out. It did not get you know, good word of mouth, and I remember like the more I saw more teasers, promos, all that stuff, I kind of just lost interest, and I was just like, I don't feel like seeing it now, if I'm being honest. I think I'll just watch it later when it would come out on Disney Plus, because at that point I was unfortunately used to like seeing the new Pixar movies on Disney Plus because they were releasing them on Disney Plus. Soul, Luca, and Turning Red all went to Disney Plus and not theaters and until, you know, later, but for only one day. And yeah, that kind of sucked. And it also made me like a little bit sad knowing that like the first movie Pixar went to theaters back, you know, went back into theaters that Disney put out in theaters. I keep repeating myself, sorry. After the whole pandemic, you know, all that pandemic mess. The first movie back is just something that was connected to a well successful franchise. Yeah, that kind of sucked. But like, you know, hey, you know, I still gave it a chance when it came out on Disney Plus. I was just like, all right, let's go ahead and check it out. And like I said before, I thought it was like fine, but then my opinion changed, and now here we are. And yeah, I can say Lightyear wasn't really that great. Quickly, let's get this over with. All right, but the plot, okay, the plot is that Buzz is accidentally gets like this entire colony of people stranded on this planet, and he and his friend, I forgot her name, try to find a way to sort of like get everyone off, and they realize they can probably get some some sci-fi stuff if they travel really fast around like the planet or something, like, you know, hyperspace, turbocharged, whatever, and so like you know, to get something, but he does it, and every time he does, he fails, you know, right? And time passes, like he barely ages, but everyone else does. And they pass like 4 years every time he does it, so multiple years go by, and you know, he still hasn't achieved the thing that he wants, but everyone else's lives have kind of moved on. They've gotten used to living on this planet, and then Buzz tries one more time after he's told, no, we're not doing this anymore, we're just gonna stay here, I think we're fine now. It's after like a spoiler alert, Buzz's friend dies because, you know, old, and so he goes ahead and tries it anyway, but the next time he comes back, he succeeded. However, now there's all these robots everywhere, and they're like robots that are from Zurg, who is the villain of the movie, and so he has to team up with these like couple of people who are trainees, I guess, and that includes Izzy, the granddaughter of like Buzz's friend, and two other people, one voiced by Taika Waititi, one a criminal, and yeah, so essentially he has to work with them now, even though they're very unskilled and are not good at many things. But as the movie goes on, they grow closer, I guess. I'll get into that later, and then other stuff, and then Buzz finds out who Zurg is, which I'll talk about that a bit later. But anyway, yeah, that's the general plot, I think, or stuff that happens. I mean, all right, now on to other stuff I can talk about, because all right, first of all, I want to start with the good stuff, honestly, because while there isn't a lot, I do think there are some things in this movie that are genuinely pretty good. Like, first of all, I think the concept of like a Buzz Lightyear, like, you know, movie, sort of like, you know, having like this big sci-fi story, but with Buzz, seeing the kind of world that the version of Buzz that we saw in Toy Story in the first one thought he was from, I think is cool, you know. And there's some other neat stuff here. Like, I think the whole like concept of like the whole time dilation, where every time he tries that thing, time moves forward 4 years, and like everyone else's lives kind of like move on without him. And it's like, I think that's an actual interesting like sci-fi concept that I feel like if in a better movie, they could have done something really interesting with that. And I can sort of see what they were trying to go for with here, which I'll talk about a bit later, but it doesn't really fully work. But like, I think the concept itself is pretty cool. Another thing, I think some of the vocal performances are pretty good. Voice actors, like they got Chris Evans is Buzz Lightyear this time, so not Tim Allen, but he does fine enough. I do got some issues, which I'll talk about a bit later, but like otherwise, like I do think his acting, he's a great actor, and I think he does fine here. And I actually quite like Izzy, played by Keke Palmer. I thought she was actually pretty fun, and she was likable. She was, I just wish she was in a better movie, but like, yeah, she was pretty fun. Taika Waititi kind of got annoying every now and then, but like, I don't know, he also sounded like he did fine. Same thing for like whoever they got to play the lady. Also, the voice actor for like Buzz's friend in this as well also did a good job. I forgot who it was, but I know it's like who plays Bismuth, I think, in Steven Universe, so that's pretty cool. But like, yeah. And also, speaking of Buzz's friend, she is married in this. Like we see in like the time that Buzz is gone, she gets married and it's to another woman. So it's LGBTQIA plus representation, and it's done pretty well here. I've seen like representation done better in other things, especially other Disney things like the Owl House. But here it's like, I don't know. I think they did it. It's good. I think it's good. And it does kind of suck that there was like a whole thing where like this movie was, they were considering taking that out so that this movie wouldn't be banned in some countries, but then people were like outraged, like, dude, what the hell? And then Disney just kind of put it in there, and it was like a whole thing. It was pretty bad on Disney's part, but you know, in the end, they didn't cut it out, so that's at least good. That's at least good. And the final thing that I guess I like about it is that like, I guess I like that the team behind it seemed to at least be proud of it, or seemed to have enjoyed working on it. Angus McLean, the director of this movie, who apparently also directed or like helped make the CG opening for the Buzz Lightyear cartoon, where like the toys are like putting in like the, you know, going in to watch the show for the Buzz Lightyear Star Command cartoon series. Apparently he directed that, or helped be part of it, I guess. And that's pretty interesting, you know. But like, I'll talk about that show later too, don't worry. I think like he said that this is something that he really wanted to do, and so he pitched it to them and they said yes. And I listened to the commentary of this movie to get some, you know, extra information, read some stuff, interviews, and I didn't get the art book. I probably could have like found a PDF for that to get some extra information, but like, I didn't feel like it. Listening to the commentary was fine enough for me. It seemed like, you know, nothing really went wrong, you know, production wise. Like I didn't hear any like news about like Disney meddling or anything. It just kind of seems like, hey, this is like genuinely what their art team were able to come up with, and they got to do what they wanted. And so that sounds at least good. I'm glad that they, you know, were able to tell, I guess, the story they wanted, even if the story itself was honestly not as interesting as I think they make it out to be, or like at least the way they think it is. But you know, it's, hey, you know, if they had a good time, if they're proud of it, then I guess that's good. But anyway, here's why I don't like Lightyear. First of all, it just feels like such a waste of a good concept. Like I'm a big sci-fi guy, you know, right? I love sci-fi, as you can tell from Star Wars, and actually I'm not super into Starlink, the game. I just got that because I just put that up there because I just needed something up there to fill the space. But regardless, I love sci-fi, and Buzz Lightyear, honestly love that character. He's one of my favorites from the Toy Story universe, or Toy Story franchise. And I thought like, oh man, doing like some cool like pulpy sci-fi story, but with Buzz, and seeing this is like the kind of thing that he came from, like, oh man, sounds great. We technically already got that with the Buzz Lightyear Star Command cartoon series, but seeing it in movie form could be cool, could be interesting. And honestly, I don't really feel like this is the kind of, like, from the Buzz Lightyear that we saw in the Toy Story movie, specifically Toy Story 1, the way he acts, the way he, like, talks about his world, I kind of don't really feel like this is the kind of movie that Buzz Lightyear is from. Like the way I see this doesn't really even feel like a sci-fi movie that would have come out in the 90s or even, like, before then. It kind of feels like a reboot of a popular sci-fi movie from the 90s that would have come out during the 2010s or something, like in 2015 or something. Like I could see this being up there with like Fan Four Stick or whatever. Definitely not saying this movie is like on the same level of bad as Fan Four Stick, definitely not. I'm just saying it kind of gives me like the vibe of like a movie that would have just come out in 2015 that just would have like was like a remake or like something, but you get what I mean. Yeah, like everything about like the, you know, just like the vibe of the movie just feels like, I don't know, just like so lame, especially for like a sci-fi. So I'm not saying all sci-fi stories need to be these grand epics with aliens and laser fights and all that stuff, but like I just feel like Buzz Lightyear would come from something like that. Like, he just seems like the kind of character that came from like a sort of Star Wars or Star Trek-esque kind of story where there's like aliens all about. He's part of Star Command and he goes on adventures every day, you know, right? Just doing new things to help the galaxy while defeating that evil Emperor Zurg. But here he's just like kind of like, oh, just like a Space Ranger, which is like a sort of like, you know, like a some. Actually, I don't really know if they explain what Space Rangers are in the terms of the galaxy, but like, or maybe they did say, but I forgot. I don't know. Some of the movies are forgettable, but like, yeah, he just is kind of just more so just in this one area, this one planet, which is like, you know, there's some issues. Like, there's like the vine thing that kind of grabs onto them, sort of tentacle thing. There's like these like bugs, these beetle things that are, you know, yeah, also not great. But other than that, it seems like everyone's kind of just mostly okay, and it's mostly Buzz just kind of like upset that like, you know, he like got them stuck there, but everyone else like doesn't really seem mad at him. I'll talk about this more a little bit later, but like, yeah, everything about it just like, I don't know, like I just feel like it just should have been more adventurous, especially when like I heard that like, you know, like in like a few interviews and in the commentary, Angus MacLane imagined like he noticed that at Pixar they, you know, he just wanted to make a different type of movie than what Pixar was kind of making at the time, where he wanted this to be more of like a big sci-fi adventure, but like it doesn't really feel like that. Like when I remember a sort of similar sentiment being said by the directors of Atlantis: The Lost Empire when they were pitching that movie to Disney, where they just said they wanted to make something that was like a bigger adventure. Like I think they said something along the lines of like less songs, more explosions, or something like that. I could be wrong, let me know, but I remember a quote like that being tossed around when like when they were developing that movie. And then Atlantis: Lost Empire was a big adventure movie that very much did not feel like something, you know, Disney was making at the time. And yeah, this is also not really something like Pixar was making, but like, you know, it's, I don't know, it still doesn't feel like the exact thing that Angus MacLane was describing, you know, right? Like some sort of sci-fi adventure or sci-fi epic that Buzz Lightyear would be from. But yeah, I don't know, it's just all about it. It's just like, I think like maybe the story itself could have worked. Maybe it was like a different thing, not connected to Buzz Lightyear. But like, yeah, like I said, just all about it. Like, I just feel like it was just a wasted opportunity for like a Buzz Lightyear story. Did I say wasted opportunity? I think I meant wasted potential. Like, this movie could have, you know, it could have been something really great, but they went with this storyline. I don't know. I'm gonna try this again. Hold on, wait. Yeah, anyway, did I say wasted opportunity? I think I meant to just say wasted potential. I don't know. Point is, I'm not good at talking. Another thing that feels kind of like a sort of missed opportunity with the movie is just like how it looks visually. Like, nothing, like, it's not bad. Like, it doesn't look bad, I'll say that. Like, nothing, like, everything looks competently made, and like, I know, like, you know, that some great animators worked on this, and like some great visual artists, you know, right? Or like, you know, people who helped design like just like the art of Lightyear. But I don't know, it still feels just kind of lame. Like, nothing, like, I'm not saying like a new Pixar movie has to come out and it has to outshine everything that came out before with the visuals and everything. It's got to grab my eyeballs and say, look how freaking amazing I am, look how freaking amazing I look. But like, it would still be nice if it has like, you know, something that really shines, like, you know, right? But like, if it doesn't, then maybe the story could have saved it, but like, it doesn't. The story doesn't really save it. And like, visually, there's some cool things. Like, I kind of like the cubicle shape that a lot of the technology has. And like, I noticed that they, I heard in like the behind the scenes features, they said that like, they wanted like everything to kind of look like they reuse parts every now and then, like the society that lives in this, like on this planet, to kind of show off that like they're stranded there, so they have to like reuse a lot of things to, you know, to get by. And I think that's pretty cool. Like, some thought definitely went into this, a lot of thought. I just think that like, I don't know, again, it's more so comes from the fact that like, I feel like this could have been something like more out there with the whole space setting. And like, I know this is probably me just kind of projecting what I want from the movie rather than what it is, and I get that, but like, I don't know, when I hear this is a Lightyear movie, and like, I know this is supposed to be the movie that Andy is supposed to watch and like love and then want to get a Buzz Lightyear toy for it, I just kind of don't get the vibe that like, you know, this is the kind of world that a kid, or like, I don't know, someone like Andy more so, it would be all like, yeah, this world is amazing, I want to explore this world, I want to like just get rid of every cowboy thing in my room and replace it all with Buzz Lightyear stuff. Like, I just don't really get the vibe that this would convince him to do all of that. And like, again, it is still competently made, it all still looks good, nothing looks bad, it just doesn't look like anything, you know, grand or special, or compared to like, you know, like even like just some of the other Pixar movies that came out at the time, which again, I'm not saying that every movie Pixar makes needs to outshine the last, I'm just saying, you know, I don't know, I just kind of expect maybe something more. with the visuals, but here it's just kind of like, yeah, it looks good. It looks good. I can say that, you know, it doesn't look bad. Speaking of things that I don't think Andy would be that into regarding this movie is, ironically enough, Buzz Lightyear himself. I don't think he's all that interesting in this movie. Like in Toy Story 1, Buzz Lightyear thinks he's like a space ranger, obviously, and he acts like a very goofy, campy, like action hero type of character. You know, right? He's always like doing like you know, like little action moves, and then going stats reports that he can fly and whatnot. Which, fun fact, we never see Buzz Lightyear fly in this movie with the wings and whatnot. We never see him fly. What is up with that? That is, wow, that is incredibly disappointing. Honestly, that would have been really cool. Like he doesn't even fall in style at one point. No. But like he acts like Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story 1 acts like, you know, like a goofy, campy space hero. And in this movie, Chris Evans plays Buzz Lightyear, and honestly, Chris Evans, I could totally see him as acting as like that's a Buzz Lightyear like that. Why am I stuttering so much? I can genuinely see like Chris Evans pulling off a Buzz Lightyear like that. But I don't really think they allowed him to be that campy, because like in this movie he just kind of comes off as just like a generic kind of space hero, but with none of the fun personality that Buzz had. There are like remnants of it in there. Like there are a few moments where Buzz like tries to be heroic or like tries to monologue, but then a character will come in and go like, wow, you're really doing that? That's stupid. Which made sense in Toy Story 1 because it was ridiculous that he thought he was a real space ranger, but here he is a space ranger. Just let him be heroic and stuff. It comes out very MCU-ish in that sense, where they like want to have a goofy, campy moment, but then immediately make fun of it so that they don't seem uncool. And I just don't love that. When you get rid of the camp that makes Buzz Lightyear fun in Toy Story, you kind of just have like a not that interesting character. And like the story itself, I do think like his like sort of arc, I don't why did I say sort of, his character arc that he's supposed to have in this movie, I think sounds interesting on paper, but the way it's executed, it's just not, and I'll explain a little bit why later. But like without that, Buzz Lightyear is like, you know, his like, without the camp, he's not that fun of a character to watch, and without the, you know, engaging character arc, even if the arc itself sounds interesting on paper, it's not really on screen. Without it, you just kind of have like just like a guy as a main protagonist guy, and like I just can't really see a kid or like Andy wanting action figure of this Buzz Lightyear, which I guess is technically true in real life, because the toys for this movie, I did not see them sell at all. Like maybe they were popular somewhere else, like if you know, let me know, but like a few weeks ago I went to a Ross, and a bunch of those like little things were like just like there, all the toys and whatnot for clearance were way less than what they originally cost. And the only thing that I've seen actually go up in price is the SH figure arts of Buzz Lightyear for this version of Buzz Lightyear, which I actually do think looks like kind of fun. I would get it, but like I don't really like, I don't really like this movie enough like to actually spend like $100 to get that. No, I'm not gonna get that. Also, here's the thing: Buzz Lightyear never flies in this movie. What is up with that? Like his whole thing, in Toy Story 1, he pulls out the wings and then he thinks he can fly, but he doesn't. And here, hey, wouldn't that have been cool to see him use that and then actually fly? That doesn't happen in this movie. No, he doesn't even fall with style. But going back to what I said, his character arc is that like he wants to really, you know, fix the mistake that he caused and like help people go back to the way things were before they crash landed on this planet. But he needs to accept that everyone else has basically lived an entire life here, one that he was barely here for, because he spent all of his time just trying to fix that mistake. But while everyone else was legitimately being happy and learning to accept that this is their new home now, and he needs to, you know, accept that and grow connections to the people that are with him now, and so he doesn't lose, you know, the people who matter to him, like he lost like his friend because she died while he was gone. And all right, that sounds interesting on paper, but here I just don't really get that. I just don't really think it's all that interesting, because we don't really get to see too much of what life was like before they crash landed on this planet, and so I don't really get to see why he wants to go back to that so badly. Like we're told that it was really fun being a space ranger or exploring the galaxy or whatever, but like you know, we're told that, but we're not shown. And then afterwards, when we see him like try to like, I think he's supposed to not like the new recruits, not recruits, but the trainees that he has to unfortunately go along with to help him, like, you know, right, fix, you know, stop the Zurg and whatnot. He's supposed to sort of grow a bond with them. Like, he starts not liking them, but he grows a connection with them, especially Izzy, and he learns that he needs to live in the now. But like, I don't know, they're like, I don't really like the characters, but like the trainees besides Izzy. Like, the other two are just kind of not really all that funny, or in Taika Waititi's case, sometimes a little bit annoying. I like Socks though. Socks was great though. I genuinely, Socks is cool. Why didn't Andy want a toy of that? Also, why didn't he want a toy of the other characters? I know why, because they're not that interesting except Izzy. But like, you know, well, yeah. Point is, I don't like them all that much. I don't hate them. I just don't particularly like them either. I don't really care if he grows a bond with them, which is like also not even that interesting. I didn't really get that vibe either sometimes, except for maybe a few scenes. But yeah, so the whole arc thing, I just don't think is like, just doesn't really work all that well for me. It's not really executed well. Now, one of the dumbest things in the movie is the big villain reveal. So we're told that Zurg sent all these robots down to try to, you know, right, and it's like, sent all the evil. Go. So, time to talk about the dumbest thing in the movie. Okay, so Zurg, who the evil robot man who has been sending down all these other robots, turns out is actually Buzz. That's where it ends. You thought I was gonna say something else? Nope, it's not. Nope, it just ends there. It's Buzz. It's Buzz. It's an old Buzz. That moment in Toy Story 2 where they basically parody Star Wars, where Buzz Lightyear, another Buzz Lightyear, says to Zurg, "No, you killed my father," and then Zurg says, "No, I am your father." Turns out that's not true. Because this guy is in this movie is not Buzz's dad. It is just Buzz, an old Buzz. According to Angus MacLane, the director of the movie, this was changed because I guess they had originally planned on Zurg being Buzz's dad, but they changed it because they knew the audience going in were already gonna know it was like gonna be his dad, so they were just like, it was he felt that was gonna be distracting for the audiences if they just kind of already knew going in, like, oh, it's gonna be his dad, we're just waiting for you to tell us it's his dad. And also because he wanted it to feel like he wanted this like twist, because he thought it would work thematically with the movie, where Buzz, his biggest enemy, is himself, both literally and metaphorically. And here's the thing about this reveal, about Zurg being just Buzz, but older and from like another timeline, I guess. I think it's dumb. Look, I don't just dislike it because it contradicts what Toy Story 2 said. Actually, no, that's a lie. That is a reason why I don't like it. I don't know, man. I like that scene. I think it's funny. I think they should have just gone full Star Wars with it. But like, yeah, but another reason I don't like it is because like, I don't think it works as well as they think they do. Like, I get what they're trying to go for. It can work thematically, where this Buzz is one that never let go of the past, or like, and like what is now going back in time to try to erase everything, so now, like, you know, he can like relive his life with his old friend. But in this case, the new Buzz that we've been following has grown a connection to Izzy and the other trainees, that now he has to contemplate, like, oh man, what should I do? Should I help him change the past, or should I, you know, stop him? And it was like that kind of thing. I get how that works thematically. However, I don't feel the reveal works because it just kind of comes out of nowhere. Like, the concept of time travel was never hinted at prior to the movie. And so, like, when you're told that, oh, the villain is actually Buzz from another timeline, it less feels more like a shocking, like, what moment? My mind is blown. It just kind of comes off more as like a, what? Moment, like one that you just like, it's like something that just comes out of nowhere, pulled it right out of their butt, and then they just go along with it, and you go like, okay, wait, what? This like still is kind of, what? Like, you're just more like confused than you are, like, you know, amazed or shocked. So like, his plan to go back in time and you know change everything that's happened so they never get trapped on the planet, I know it works thematically. However, we never really get to see what life is like on the planet. We only see it from really Buzz's perspective, which I get why, but like, you know, because of that, we everything feels so barren. It feels like barely anyone is on this planet, and so I don't really feel the connection that like a whole society has lived here for over like what is it, like 100 years or whatever, like over 50, I don't know, a long time is what I'm saying. And like, so it kind of feels so barren and empty, and since like the characters that we do follow aren't the most interesting, even Izzy, who I do like, I think she's fun. I like also am not that emotionally attached to her enough that like I feel like when Buzz is sad that like in this world, if they go back in time, Izzy will be gone, I'm like, oh okay, yeah, sure, I guess that's kind of sad, but I don't really care. And so like I don't know, this like new problem, this new dilemma that the villain causes, or like, you know, brings upon Buzz, like what does he do? Does he go back in time and fix everything, or does he like, you know, stop him? Like, you know, bro, I don't care. I don't mean to sound negative. Like again, I don't know, maybe it bothers me more because I can see what they want to do, but like I just like everything about the movie has been so kind of whatever. Like everything's been so whatever that like I kind of have a hard time to just like fully care or even sound interested. But so yeah, this is old Buzz is Zurg, and it's like a reveal, so it's like yeah, it is really dumb. I remember when I first saw this movie, I was like going in, I was expecting it to be his dad, but like then it was revealed to be that, and I was just like, wow, that is kind of dumb. I don't like that. And again, it's not just because it's not his dad. Again, I mean that does bother me a little bit, more jokingly, more like I feel like more so like if it was replaced with a better twist, then maybe I wouldn't be like as upset about it that it wasn't his dad. But like since it's like a dumb twist, I'm going like, well, crap, they should have just made it his dad. Maybe that also wouldn't have made sense, but at least it would fit in line with what Toy Story 2 said, and also with what Star Wars, you know, did, because that was that scene was basically a parody of Star Wars. I kind of just want to go watch Star Wars now, honestly, yeah. In fact, throughout the movie, I was kind of thinking I wanted to watch other stuff. Like around the same time I started doing this Pixar rewatch, I'd also been like watching some Star Trek stuff since like I got like a free trial for Paramount Plus, and like I've been watching a bunch of old Star Trek, and so when I got to this movie, I was just like, man, I could also just be watching Star Trek instead. Being honest, I still need to finish Lower Decks. I have finished Lower Decks now, but that's a whole other thing. But like, yeah, this movie, I don't know what else to say. I just think it's like kind of like whatever. Let's talk about the Buzz Lightyear cartoon. I mentioned it before, Buzz Lightyear Star Command. After I watched this movie, I went ahead and watched the the sort of pilot movie for that show, and then a few episodes afterwards, and I went like, oh my god, this show's actually kind of fun. Cool designs, some fun aliens, funny jokes. I like Patrick Warburton as Buzz Lightyear. He definitely knew the energy to bring for that character. And then I realized, oh my god, this was just this feels more like the thing that Andy would have watched that got him into Buzz Lightyear and it was the thing that made him want a Buzz Lightyear toy. And then I looked it up. Angus MacLane did talk about this for a little bit. He did say that like he feels like this show still exists in the Toy Story universe, and it's more so like a TV show that would have come out after a trilogy of Lightyear movies. And which we'll probably not get because Lightyear did not do well at all. But that made me go like, okay, so there is a possibility that maybe Andy may have not actually, well, you know, liked this movie and probably just liked the cartoon, and that made him want Buzz Lightyear doll. So there is that. Before that, my original headcanon was that like in reality, I think the reason Buzz Lightyear is the way he is and not like the Buzz Lightyear from this movie is because maybe the toy company that made Buzz Lightyear toys got an original version of the script and some early concept art before anything was finalized, and so they just based off of that, and then they were never told that the movie was changed into this. So that's my headcanon for what happened in the Toy Story universe, why Buzz is nothing like the one in this movie. But now I can go with another one that, yeah, this cartoon just came out after a trilogy of Lightyear movies, I guess. I wonder what that would have looked like. And Andy just like watched that cartoon instead. That's my theory. Maybe he watched this movie once, but like he wasn't interested. I don't know. It makes sense to me. But anyway, that's kind of all I have to say. I've been talking for quite a bit, honestly. I didn't expect to have this much. I mean, I knew I had quite a bit to say about Buzz Lightyear, but like not really like enough to make me like this kind of tired. And yeah, I hope the video doesn't end up being like too long. It might, I don't know. But like it probably won't. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Starting over from here. So yeah, that's what I gotta say about Lightyear. I didn't expect to have this much energy for a movie that I think is just kind of mediocre. Like, it's not terrible, but it's definitely my least favorite Pixar film. And I know there are some that other people might say are worse, like Good Dinosaur, Brave, or like Cars 2. But with those others, I think there's stuff that I genuinely do like about them. Or in the case of Cars 2, I just think it's funny bad. With this one, like, I don't know. I see potential for what could have been, honestly, like, a pretty good, like, sci-fi story that just has nothing to do with Buzz Lightyear. But, like, I don't know. It just feels like not great, pretty mediocre. And I'm hoping that Toy Story 5, since we're getting that apparently, is good, you know? I really don't want a Toy Story 5. Please, just, you guys, you should have just ended it with 3. 4 was good. I like 4, but, like, I think you should stop now. But yeah, Lightyear, it was a movie. I don't know what else to say. I guess I'll try to end it off with some like bad pun, Toy Story related pun. Okay, let's hope Pixar moves infinity and beyond from this movie. Or B, this movie definitely fell, but not with style. Alright, pick which one of those you like more. I'm tired, I'm leaving.